All right, this is episode 35. Man, I can't remember this stuff. All about the LED headlights. I got these things working really good. I still don't have the yellow wired up. They can be turn signals, but I've got the white halo, high and low. I don't have the low working here, but I do plan on adding that in the future when I get a bigger alternator. That's what this video is about, 34. And I don't know if you noticed on the last video, I put in a little shot of my first drive. It was kind of an unplanned first drive. I really wasn't ready. So the steering wheel was crooked, the steering wheel was crooked, toe out was bad. I just bought an alignment gauge. I'm gonna try to do alignment. I've already realigned it. Actually, it should be better now. It was off by an inch. I'm gonna try that tool. The exhaust was rubbing on the cross member. So I just notched the cross member. I need to move the muffler now, re-weld it, and get it stop rubbing on the body. And the parking brake was sticking on. One of the levers was rusty. I've taken that off, lubed it, wire wheeled it. That's working like brand new. So the next drive should be a lot better. I got to put the rear view mirror in. That would be nice. I forgot to plug in the brake lights. You'll notice in the video the brake lights didn't work, but their brakes were dragging. And I also raised the back of the truck 1 inch since that video. I may raise it up another inch. This is actually a full droop. I don't know if you can see, but that's at full droop. So I've raised the back of the truck 1 inch, try to get a leveler. I've got an idea on how to lower the front. That'll help. But yeah, so the next drive, hopefully will be when my son's here next, about a week or so. Should be a lot better. So anyways, this is episode 35. It's all about fixing the parking brake and the headlights. So the first step to making these LEDs fit the 521 buckets. Here's what they look like. You have to cut them down. They look like this. Remove a little material. Second step, you gotta remove this notch out of the back of the LEDs. It does fit into this notch, but it's not orientated correctly, and if it's not correct, I don't think your light will shine the right way, because this has to be top and this is left and right. So you got to get rid of that. I just used a round file and a square file to finish it off. And then the third step is you got to add another tab, because now that you've cut the back out, you got no way to put the spring. So what I did is add a little tab. Let me show you that part next. So the next problem is, before I get to the tab, is you got to find the center of this light, which on these lights, the O on DOT is the center. Line up with the center of your bolt. So that's the center of the circle. You can see there's a vent on the back of these lights, and that wants to hit the bucket. It's really the first thing that hits. So you can see on the back here, there's a little vent, and that's really the only interference issue there is now that I've cut all this out. No, I'm sorry, I haven't cut this at all. I haven't cut this thing at all. I've cut this thing. So this wire doesn't hit on this one. This little vent, it's a little one-way valve kind of thing. So what I did what you can do is just put longer screws or push the light away a little bit more, a couple of millimeters, and it does fit inside this ring. but it's pretty close. You can see I've already got these two installed, but it's pretty tight, and it may be hard to adjust up and down, so I may have to clearance this, but for right now I'm not going to clearance it because I think I can get away with it by just pushing the light out a couple of millimeters. I put longer screws in here that I got for a 620 kit, but I only got 4. So you can see here's the original screws. So if I need more adjustability, I could have longer screws and space it out. But you can only push the light out so far with these rings, because the light will hit these rings, so the light can only come out so far. So there's just millimeters to play with here. Obviously you can let me show you this. Seems like this big rubber cap. It's like a little screened one-way valve kind of thing. Obviously if you take that off, you'll get more room. Then you got a big hole in the light, and you got to be worried about getting moisture, dirt in there. It looks like there's a screen in there, like a little air filter, if you will. So I want to retain that. It is kind of big. I wish they would have put it in the middle where the big dome was. That would have been nice, but they didn't. So worst case, I'm gonna have to put a dent in my thing or put a hole where that goes so it clears if I need the adjustability. So that's just another little problem. Otherwise, the diameter I think seems to be pretty good. It almost fits inside here. Like if you take this rubber thing off, you take off that vent cap, this is a pain. Oh, now I got a bucket missing. So you can see the lights do fit inside the buckets. Hard to show you. Just barely, but that stupid vent doesn't fit. If they clocked the vent anywhere else, it wouldn't have been a problem. That's the only other big issue I got with these things, is that vent. Like I said, I've already got 2 installed, and it's by pushing it out. And they come back to haunt me later when I try to adjust them. I gotta get the truck level and all that stuff before I try to adjust the light, so we'll come back to that. But for now, I want to have the vent in there, and I want to not modify this. So that's plan A. Okay, I think I finally have the perfect bracket. So I went from this little, what was it, 1/2 inch angle iron aluminum. I went up to this 3/4 inch, and that gave me a couple of things. One, it made it a lot easier to mount, and the bolts aren't hitting each other. But just solved a lot of issues with mounting it on this circle. So now I've got a nice circle that's really strong. I did notch this one as a test, because that rubber vent does rub on there. It doesn't need to be notched. It does technically fit, but it's really tight. So see right there, it's really kind of rubbing on there. I don't like things rubbing. It's kind of a pain to put in, but you don't need to modify the bucket, it looks like I did on this one. I kind of regret doing this, but the reason I did it was I was thinking if I put a hole here, then it would also keep this clocked so it doesn't spin. Not that it ever should, but you know, this thing is the little tabs you have to grind off, so there's nothing to keep it perfectly straight. You just have to put a mark on the center and put it in right the first time and clamp it down and hope it doesn't ever move. But that's the reason I put a notch here, was to kind of key it so it wouldn't spin, but I don't know. So anyways, I also changed from my 15mm hose spacer down to a smaller just washer. So I went to a bigger bracket like this, to a bigger bracket with a smaller rubber, and that seems to be really good, because when I had this big 15mm on the other side, I couldn't put the grill shell on. It was really tight. I had to screw in the screws, So I've gone back to the factory 521 screws. I had 620 longer screws in here. I'm gonna go back to these screws. Those longer screws didn't really work for me because the longer they are, they come out, they hit the grill. If they go in too far, they don't work at all. So I'm gonna go back to the 521 length screws. And I think this will be the sweet spot on having adjustability and just the right clearance for the grill, because there's, got to get it in just the right place. I think it has to be out a little bit more than the original glass, just a little bit, because of this stupid shape. But I think I'm onto something. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount this one. But these things are nice and solid, way better than the spring. I don't like the spring. I mean, I can pretty much pick this thing up by this ring. It's very strong. The little springs. Don't get me started on springs. Buying so many different types of springs is just a nightmare. No more springs. Just a simple 3mm bolt, and this is just a washer from Home Depot for like plumbing. Buy big old packs, and you can use them for spacers. So now I need to take out the other side probably and make new brackets. I actually already made one, so I need to make one more of these. Gotta find some more angle on it. That's all. I need one more piece. I'm sure I have something more. Alright, here's my completed LED conversion. After all the cutting and grinding, going from this, getting rid of this, down to something like this. Now it looks like this, just with some extra angle iron. Why does it look so different on this one? I got to the other side. The other side's already on. It works. I added an extra wire, a green wire for the halos. I haven't figured out how to add the extra low. These wires are so nice. I hate to splice them and add the other wire, but I was thinking about running 2 lows, having both being on at the same time, but for now I'm just going to do stock, low, and high. But I like this assembly. Got it all solid, no more springs. It's bolts, rubber washers, it's adjustable. Should go right in with a ring behind it. So let's see if I can put this together. And here goes. I wonder if this is how they do it at the factory. Install it as an assembly. This must be the low side. I got 2 wires. No, wait, the low side is. Yeah, the low side is 2 wires. And this backwards last time. I'm not gonna hook up the orange turn signals today. Do that next time. Okay, so where's the other one? Probably just be smart to test these real quick. I'm not that smart. Okay, they're all plugged in. Oh, they already fell off. That was great. They're all plugged in. Maybe it wasn't a little thing. I do kind of like this idea of just a big pocket of wires. I didn't like it before. Can't get to the wires when you need them, but I don't have to see them. I remember I upgraded my bolts from 5 to 6mm. This is the time you should be testing these things before you go crazy. Put all the bolts in. Need a light. The lights. Okay. We tighten them all. Let's test the headlights real quick. So let's see. Headlights. I see something. The high beams. Do they work? Hey! Oh my gosh! All 4 high beams. First time ever. Low beams. Oh, awesome. Now I just gotta hook up that other wire. Wait, the high-lows are not on. Yeah, that's the halos. They almost look like they're on. Cool. I finally have 6 lights for the first time ever. Okay, so now more lights. I need to hook up the halos. I ran that green wire over here. Trying to find a wire. All these ignition wires I don't need. I only need 1 of all these. I can't find any power in any of these. I was gonna have an ignition wire power these lights, so when you turn the key on, they come on. But oddly enough, none of them have electricity for some reason. All I got is 1 wire from the key that turns on the coil, and then the 1 extra I ran from my tack, and then my electronic distributor. All these others, I don't need any of them. I don't know why I have so many wires. All that old ballast stuff. I hate to run a wire. I just got to figure out how to get one of these things hot. It's blue with white. I thought it was this one that's blue and white. But I just traced this, and this actually goes to the temperature switch by my gas pedal, or whatever it is, the switch by my clutch pedal. So I'm going to use this for my electric steering. So I'm going to hook up that next. That's going to turn on the computer. It doesn't go over there even though it is blue with white. So I'm going to figure out why none of those wires come over here. So the little connectors that came with these lights fell off. So I soldered on some of these OEM style. I think they're nylon, just like I use everywhere else. So got that side done. Did that side break too? Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, so just redoing this side now. So now I got them all done. Got halos on both sides, and I just ran a wire to the coil. So let's test them out. Let's test it out. Did it work? Key on. On my home. Oh my gosh, that's bright. That's the key on. The headlights. And that's high beams. That should be every single bulb except for the yellow. Oh my gosh, they all work. Does that work? Yeah, it works. So dim. Awesome. Ooh, cool. Finally got some lights. Alright, so I think I finally fixed my parking brake. It was sticking like crazy. So it was this bracket right here, which is the first pivot point. I just took it off and wire wheeled it. Had to beat this pin out with a sledgehammer. Took out the cotter pin and beat it out with a hammer. Now, just after wire wheeling the rusty pin and a little wire wheel inside there. Sorry about that. This thing is like, oh, precision. Look how heavy duty this thing is, just for a parking brake cable. 1/4 inch thick. So I'm gonna grease this pin, and then I'll put a coat of paint on here, and then I'll put it back together. Here's the cotter pin. It did not want to come out. It took me to come out of pieces. Oh, that was a lot of fun. So I should have a good parking brake now.